All right, have and have not fans. I guess you can call this almost like an episode review. I'm not going to go over through every single detail of the episode because, as you know by now, I really like breaking everything up into different videos. So this video is more like a question to you all. Do you think episode 100 Railroaded held up well in terms of being an episode that is worthy of being episode 100? Now, we didn't get any kind of, Tyler Perry announcement saying, hey, we're getting on the 100th episode of the Haves and the Have-Nots tonight. We're going to do like a marathon leading up to it. We really didn't get anything like that or any kind of extra promotion. We just know that this 100th episode was a milestone for the series, which it indeed is. Now, it looks like next week's going to be a great episode between Mama Rose, unleashing her plan, Erica and Veronica fighting in the elevator, and Landon coming on to Jeffrey, and the list goes on. So there's just so much going down next week. But let's just put it this way. As a whole, I did enjoy the episode. I sat down, I rewatched it again tonight. This evening before I took a nap after I got off work. Honestly, really did enjoy it. I really don't think there was so much wasted time because, again, we had, how it is. Typically, there's about 8 to 10 minute scene for each character. It's like, you see two characters interacting together and they're talking. Then, of course, you move on to a new location and then so on and so forth. So, again, to me, it wasn't the best episode, but it was probably in my top 10 just in terms of an episode that had enough jaw-dropping moments to make me want to watch it again and again. We're talking like, of course, I've already done a reaction video to Chucky / Charles and Candace in the Secret Service, and then Landon coming back into the series. So again, I did like that aspect of it, the fact that it was episode 100 and we brought back a character we didn't think we would see again. Because seriously, in the teaser trailer for the season, we have the scene where we have Justin laying in bed. I believe it's Jeffrey's bed, and then it looks like he's choking Landon. And then from there, if we did not see Landon in that trailer, it would have been a complete shocker that he came back in this episode. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was shocking that he did come back. I just didn't expect him to come back in that way. And it makes sense for him to be the new Maggie Day of sorts in terms of being, Charles's campaign manager. And I have a video coming up pretty soon that's going to be regarding, Landon, Charles, and Candace, because again, I have a lot to say on that. Of course, I did like the scene between Catherine and Hannah. Not too long, actually, unlike, the past couple episodes where we have, 10 minutes or so, Hannah feeling sorry for herself. And, she does have every right given the circumstances. And then Catherine trying to cheer her up. So, again, short and sweet, picking out the funeral casket. Here's the thing. I love how the Twitter was joking about it. Like, Catherine kept that secret all but 2 seconds. But number one, she didn't say she wasn't going to tell Hannah. And number two, well, literally Catherine had her hands full because Hannah wasn't having it. She knew that, Hannah was not going to sit still or, leave, well enough alone about, Benny's whereabouts. So I am glad that she did tell that he was in jail, because you know how secrets go on the show. If just like, Candace finding out about her son, which she hasn't yet. If Catherine didn't tell Hannah that Benny was in jail, watch it be like 10, 15 plus episodes before she even finds out, if she even found out. So we do know that Catherine's going to help out in that regard. And of course, another video I'm going to do in more detail is about Veronica herself, because she is, again, lover or hater, Angela Robinson plays that role. I mean, the way she was talking down to Melissa is about, if you want to kill yourself, you would have dug the blade deeper, or you would have done this or that. That leads me to more, again, it could be the fact that she runs a rehabilitation clinic, so she knows about, patients who might have been suicidal. But go way back. We're talking about the season finale of season 1 when Jeffrey comes out to his parents. And, Veronica gives more about her backstory in terms of, there was a guy in college, if I'm not mistaken, it was like maybe a senior and she was a freshman, that said said that he loved her. They got, pregnant, and she had an abortion. And, she goes on to more detail. I'll talk about that more in the video itself, but that is one of those things that makes you wonder, at some point, was Veronica suicidal? Just because the way she was describing, everything to Melissa, and just like the body language, her tone, it makes you wonder, was she in a Melissa-like position? when you think about it, maybe she tried to commit, suicide herself when she found out she was pregnant by, that guy. But if I'm not mistaken, she said that, once she got pregnant, he kind of like, shunned her off. So again, that leads me to believe that Veronica may not, been as clean cut as she comes off now. I mean, of course we know that, but at the same time, you know what? I'll just do I'll talk about that more in that video. And of course, Melissa's fighting back in a way. It's like, don't touch me again. And then she got slapped again. Honestly, oh gosh, there's so many Veronica videos I want to do now in regards to, her past and possibly, who will be the one to take Veronica down. Here, and then, all right, we got to talk about this other Veronica scene. Not the ending with Erica, David, and Veronica, because again, that I can't wait for next week. Honestly, I just can't wait to see that scene. But let's just talk about her and Benny in the jail cell. Oh well, excuse me, the jail in the what was it, like the interrogation room is what you will call it. Just look at the dynamics between those two in the room now compared to season 1 when Veronica was trying to get Benny out of jail because again he got railroaded with the whole situation of the drugs in Candace's car. And it's almost symbolism in terms of you look at where Candace and Charles and Veronica and Benny, where both of the young children are in a position where they have somebody who pretty much has their fate sealed. You can make or break their future. Charles having Candace arrested for life, but uses her for sex. He didn't force himself on her, but literally that's all she's good for to him in terms of fulfilling his needs. And the only difference is between Charles and Veronica is that Veronica can help Benny get out of his situation, but it came down to the end where she's like, well, I'll have you work off these like lawyer fees, and we all know what that means. So just the interesting dynamic. That's what made the episode. I love episodes like that where we have different characters interacting, but at the same time, one set of characters are going through a similar situation as another set of characters, but not everything is exactly the same. And of course, one of the most powerful scenes, in my opinion, was the Wyatt and Jim scene. And again, that really goes back to the video I did a few days ago about what does Wyatt have left to bring to the plot. And the fact that he's the only living crier child says a lot. And again, just hearing him and Jim talk about the inheritance money, like, look, give the money back to us. We can put it in an account. Your mom can invest it. We can give you enough to pay your bills and have an allowance. Given the past between Jim and Wyatt, it makes sense why he isn't trusting. Because literally, you look at Jim's track record, there isn't really a lot of a solid ground for his words to stand on. But again, another video I plan on doing is whether or not Jim was sincere in terms of him not worried about going to jail versus, his son's life, not to mention the money destroying him. And that was a powerful scene. That was really, especially when he picked up the phone to call Oscar. So there's no telling what kind of plan he has in motion now. And Wyatt, it's just sad because it really harkens back to Amanda. Because remember, the main tension between her and the parents was the fact that Candace was telling her, hey, you should get your inheritance. That's your money. And then that's when she started fighting for the inheritance. And of course, it wasn't the money that destroyed her. It was her own. It was herself. That's the sad part. And then Jim doesn't want to see the same thing happen to his son, which is literally happening. He literally just got out of the bed from the, coming out of his drug-induced state. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Then we move on to, let's see here. Just want to make sure I'm covering everything in terms of the episode itself. So we had the Charles and Candace, Veronica and Benny, Veronica and Melissa. The brief scene between, there isn't much to say about David and Erica yet, because we just know that eventually it's going to come to a head in the elevator. So I really want to save that talk until after next week's episode. Of course, Hannah, Mitch, and Catherine talking. Oh yeah, the other scene, Justin and Jeffrey. Golly, again, I'm going to do another video. So please, again, subscribe if you haven't, because I got a lot of stuff to say. There really is a lot going on. And you look at a preview for next week, it looks like Justin and Landon are both throwing themselves at Jeffrey. It's like it's raining men. Hallelujah. That's what it looks like in his situation. So honestly, we just know that Justin hasn't changed. He seems to be sincere, but it's not really the case. You can tell that in his tone when he said, what, it's Wyatt coming over? So that leads me to believe that in some point, maybe Jeffrey would go back to the hotel for whatever reason. That's when him and Landon are going to be at the bar. They go back to Jeffrey's apartment. Oh, well, not apartment. Well, I think he said, yeah, that's right, because David said, go get an apartment and I'll cover for you, you know, like pay for it and everything because he doesn't have any money. Then that, remember, Justin followed him there. So I'm guessing that at some point, Jeffrey and Landon go back to his apartment and then he finds Justin laying in bed. So then that ends up with Landon being choked. So I feel like that's probably what's going to happen from there. And again, another video I'm doing is about Jeffrey. So look, just to make sure we're on tap here, we have a video about Veronica's potential past, as well as who will be the one to take down Veronica. We had the video about whether Jim is sincere or not about, you know, his intentions about his son. The video about Charles and Candace in terms of, you know, if I feel like Candace is probably going to throw him out of his power chair. When you think about it, if Candace and Oscar work together, they can potentially take out Charles. If Melissa and Jeffrey work together, they could take out Veronica. There's, again, as I said before, there's so many tag team characters that can be, you know, created in this series to take out other characters. That's probably why it's not going to happen, because it will make things too easy. But yeah, that's pretty much the case. So overall, I think it was a solid episode. I don't feel like it was an episode that dragged on. I know a lot of fans are still going on about Candace not knowing about, you know, what happened to her son. But keep in mind, it's still like, what, the morning after the shooting. So just give it a couple more episodes. I'm pretty sure she's going to find out. And I might actually do another kind of like a Redux video, because I originally did one about how or when will Candace find out about her son. I'm probably going to do an updated video on that because I have more ideas. Most likely linked to, you know, Charles potentially going to talk to the grandmother of the victim, Quincy Jr. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Did you think this was a great 100th episode? Did you think it was a, you know, overall solid episode like I do? And please subscribe, because again, I have more videos on the way.